Mauricio Mejia Live. Entertainment guru, Silicon Valley entrepreneur, author, and speaker. It's Mauricio Mejia Live. Bringing to you real people, real day-to-day life experiences, and real business opportunities. If you dare to step up. Do you have what it takes to take it to the next level and become who you are truly destined to become? Decide, commit, execute. Join the thousands of viewers around the world and become a part of the conversation. Mauricio Mejia Live.
Oh, yes, it's how we do it. It is Mauricio Mejia Live. How is everyone feeling out there today? It is season 2, episode number 26. We have 4 more left to go, and season 2 will be over. So super excited about tonight. Again, I want to welcome everyone to Mauricio Mejia Live, season number 2, episode number 26, every Wednesday at 6 p.m. on the West Coast, 9 p.m. on the East. Broadcasting live on Facebook, YouTube, and on Twitch. You know, I always look down because I got to look at my notes. I always want to make sure that I'm following my script here and making sure that I stay on track, because if not, I'll go sidetracked just like right now. So again, I just want to thank everyone for joining us. We're broadcasting on 3 different platforms. We're broadcasting on Facebook, YouTube, and on Twitch. We do this every Wednesday, starting at 6 p.m. on the West Coast, 9 p.m. on the East. And just want to thank everyone that has been on the show so far. 26 episodes is not easy to do. We got to do this every week. We got to stay committed. There's got to be dedication and hard work put into every show, and it takes a lot of it just takes a lot to make a show, you know, run smooth and then be able to reach out to everyone. And again, thank you everyone that's tuning in. I appreciate you all. Henry, what's up, man? I see you. You're gonna like today's conversation. So again, guys, so far this season we've had some great entrepreneurs, some real estate moguls, some political leaders, stock advisors, fitness and entertainment gurus. And every week I've tried to keep it fresh and exciting so that, again, we see a bigger spectrum, a wide spectrum of different kinds of people that are out there in the world, in the real world, dealing with crazy things, Real quick, guys, we are back here in California and in Santa Clara County, all the counties. I think actually this is a statewide mandate now. The masks are back, guys. So COVID is real. The variant is real, and a lot of uncertainties for a lot of businesses. As you guys know, the hospitality industry was impacted. I want to say the most, but everybody was impacted. A lot of families, a lot of people lost their jobs, and a lot of people lost their livelihoods and their businesses due to this COVID variant. So, guys, make sure you guys are safe out there. Make sure that you guys are, cover your face, wash your hands. Clean hygiene always works. So let's all work together on this. I'm not a big advocate for the mask thing, but it is what it is, and we got to live with it, guys. The other thing is too, some of you know, I posted it this Saturday. I got the first of 2, the Pfizer. I did the Pfizer, and I was very hesitant for a very long time. Not because I'm an anti-vaxxer. I'm not trying to create, hype or add to those crazy thoughts that are out there. It was a personal choice. But I made the choice that I wanted to get the vaccine because I had a good friend, a good mentor, businessman, mogul that passed away 2 weeks ago. And our condolences and our prayers go out to the Mizell family. Howard, Big H. Howard was a big mentor and friend to not only myself, but to guys like John Velasquez, who's a good friend of mine. And, again, my prayers and my condolences. And I think that's what really got to me, because it just got really close. And so I'm in, guys. I'm, call it whatever it is. I'm going to go in for the second shot, and we're going to make it happen. So, guys, thank you so much. I appreciate it. And tonight, I'm excited because this is someone that I've had a good relationship for a very long time. When I ran for city council, I knew that I had his support, and we're going to talk about it tonight. So it is my pleasure, and I don't want to leave him backstage. I see him back there. It's my pleasure to have tonight San Jose pastor Scott Wagers and founder of CHAM Ministry. So let me bring him on stage really quick here with us. Pastor, how are you, sir?
Rich, good to see you, brother.
Nice to see you too, man.
Congratulations on your spot there. Coming together.
Thank you so much. You know the building very well. It's here in downtown. It's 25,000 square feet, and it's been a process. So we're excited that we're here and we're making things happen. So once we get the gym ready to go, you're gonna have to come and do some workouts with me. Get these guns going.
I see 100-pound dumbbells. You're ready for them, huh, bro?
Hey, and
Mauricio's in good shape, you guys. If you don't know him, you see him in person.
I have to be, man. Right now we're battling a war on different fronts,
True.
and
True.
and I think that it's there's a lot of things that we need to do, and you're fighting many wars on many different fronts, or many battles. It's a big war, so it's an ongoing war that we're going through. And Pastor, I just want to say thank you so much for taking time to be here this evening with me, and we're going to share with the world the things that you've seen and what we've seen together. There's been we've hit the streets together
many times,
and again, it's my honor to have you here this evening and want to talk about your mission and what we're doing, and we're gonna dive right into it.
Thanks for having me,
Pastor,
brother.
if you're ready.
I'm ready, brother.
Hey, I already blessed myself. I got my rosary with me. I'm ready, man. I'm ready.
We've walked some roads together, brother. You've been out with me. You know what it's like.
Yes, sir. And what I really want to hit is, right now it's one of the, not only are we dealing with the COVID pandemic, the virus, but we're dealing with another pandemic, and that's the homeless community. And this is something that has been going on for many years. I mean, it goes back centuries, but I think now as we're in today's world, it's kind of hard to believe that we're still dealing with this, and being here in the richest country in the world to be dealing with this problem. And so I want you to share with us a little bit of background first on yourself, and then we'll just dive right into it. We'll go into our first topic here, the homeless community.
Well, again, thanks for having me on, brother. And again, we've walked many paths together. Met you in 2014, and actually, Mauricio and I met at the Jungle, which at the time was the nation's largest homeless encampment. Woo. And now, I'm working today at the nation's largest encampment by the airport. It's called Spring Street. So that's kind of ironic that Jose has some of the largest camps in the history of homeless camps in the United States. And, I've been doing this work 30 years. I started at San Jose State. I moved out here from Louisiana when I was 21 years old, and I was a bodybuilder. I played football in Compton, Louisiana. My neck, became a bodybuilder, but I was doing a sociology class at San Jose State. And the professor said, I want you all to go out to the community and do a story, do a paper on issues that you see. So I was walking down by the Diridon station, and I went under the bridge and I met homeless people there. And that was 1991, Mauricio. And actually back then I founded what was called the Student Homeless Alliance, which is now a famous organization at San Jose State because it's comprised of homeless students. But in 91, it was students helping the homeless. And we had a lot of students that want, So, I know people that watch your podcast, and I know you, Mauricio, you're a great guy, brother. And you're active, involved in the community and an inspiring entrepreneur in person. And, I appreciate commitment to the community. But the truth about homelessness is that it's evolved from, again, the people I worked with back then under the bridge. They were struggling with a lot of substance abuse issues and things like that. But now there's 4,300 students at San Jose State that are unhoused. And that's the Student Homeless Alliance that represents them. So again, when I was a young bodybuilder working with, handing out food under the bridge, and we were working back then with Susan Hammer, and she was an upcoming politician, a city council member. I met her at San Jose State. And, we were asking the politicians way back then, like, what are you going to do? And actually, I sat down with her in 1992 as a student representative, and that's what created what is now known as, I don't know what it's called even anymore, but it's Home First. It's the biggest shelter in Clark County, came out of that meeting from way back in 92. So that's how long I've been in this, and I've watched it grow and expand. And, it's really tragic because the demographics of people on the street, people are students, they're family, children, veterans. And the misconception from the public, Mauricio, is that people want to be out there, they choose to be out there. But
Yeah.
if you really study the issue, which not many people actually do, it's
Right.
right. They don't study it. It's just all kinds
Right.
of. It's
There's just
complex.
there's a lot of perception versus the reality, and Pastor, one of the things that I learned, and I appreciate, it was one of the pivoting points, and when I decided to run for city council back in 2014, was the fact that I would have never thought, or it would have never occurred to me that there was one of the largest homeless encampments in the city of San Jose. During that time in 2014, they had just there was a story that broke out that talked about Silicon Valley being the number one smartest area in the world and the number one richest place in the world, meaning per capita, there's more millionaires and billionaires in this area than anywhere else around the world. And then the kicker was that San Jose had the number one largest homeless encampment per capita now in the United States. Now, and we've also, I grew up in Los Angeles, so I know Skid Row, and I know Skid Row is, that's blocks and blocks. So, per capita, if people understand what per capita means, San Jose had the largest homeless encampment. What was crazy though was that the day that you took me down there, I went down. I couldn't believe it. It was the jungle, and we walked down a dirt road into a jungle-like looking environment where. I remember. So one, I remember the smell. I remember visually seeing all the trash and but I also, as I started to walk, you started to see community. You started to see people. You started to see kind of like a underground world. And where it really got to me though, Pastor, was when we saw children down there running around playing homeless and the little girl, I'm like, these kids belong in schools, not in this encampment. These people not in this environment. And the irony that still to this day, and I can, just by talking about it, I can actually smell it right now. I can, smell is powerful. I can feel it and sense it. Was the that as I'm down in the jungle here and again, it's not too far from downtown San Jose. There's Happy Hollow. Right, the irony. Right across the street, you got the jungle labeled by whomever came up with the name. They call it the jungle.
Right,
and right across the street, there's the Happy Hollow Park, and I hear kids. You can hear I don't know if there's I've never been there, so I don't know, but I can hear joy and happiness across the street. And then and then right across the street, there's this underworld that happened, and that's really where I lost my mind. What I did with you, Pastor, though, I remember was that I felt that this needed to be exposed because there was no way we could be the number one richest city or area in the world, the number one smartest area in the world, and have the number one largest homeless encampment in the world. And we needed to expose that. And I remember that through our relationships, through the ones that you had as well, we combined forces and we exposed it, and it went worldwide.
It was a worldwide news story. Yeah. New York Times. CNN.
It went world. It went worldwide. And I remember that, it got to the point where, it really shook the city and the county and the state levels up because they had to do something. The stream was being used as the restroom there was so many contamination going on down there. And it was just, again, it just the poverty, and then the people that if you just stood there and just listened to them and had a conversation like human beings and treated them, you would then be able to identify that the different levels or the different problems that were happening, whether it was the substance abuse, whether it was people. There was people that had full-time jobs that were living down there.
That's right.
And then there was people that had some, mental issues or mental. I don't want to say mental issue. I don't know if that's the proper word. So please, guys, so I'm going to create sound bites here. Next thing you know is Mauricio's insensitive. But the point is that it was just, there's different levels. And I remember that you opened my eyes to a lot of things that I'm just one made me really appreciate where I was in my life, because I've experienced a version of being homeless, growing up with a single mother, which my mother did everything in her powers to take, care of my sister and I. And 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 to this day, I'm very blessed and thankful that she's alive and she's here with us today. Um, and then going through a version of not being able to have a bed or sleep on the floor, or go to bed not necessarily full, but not having even the means, and then becoming an adult, a successful adult at my age. I got to share, I share with people, and I wrote a book about it. How I made my first million at 25 and 28 multimillionaire. And then in 2008, when the world turned upside down, not a lot of people know this, but I was struggling, man. I was couch surfing. I I was living out of a box, man. And so for me, in my mind, I know that when you showed me that, I was like, now that's an extreme level. And I just said, man, I wanted to do more. And I thought that running for council was the way to go. But in reality, the best thing that happened was not winning, because as a private business, as an entrepreneur, and going into the private sector, we're not handcuffed, right? And I want to talk about that tonight, about how you feel that going with all the political and all the bureaucracy, how effective has it been? But going back to it, it just opened my eyes. And then I said, I got to work with somebody and be able to do something, whether it's cleaning up homeless encampments or being able to provide some kind of resource or food for the homeless community. And those were some of the things, Pastor, that I really want to acknowledge for you, or the things that you have done. And I really do appreciate it. And I know that the community has a big admiration, but admiration and appreciation can only go so far. So share with us and share with the community, some of the bureaucracies that you've dealt with, on a local level, on a county level, on a state level, and possibly even federal level.
Well, first of all, Mauricio, again, thanks for your story. And I know that I didn't know you struggled when you were young. I think Halle Berry was actually homeless. A lot of people that are famous have actually experienced an episode of being unhoused. And, stigma attached to it. I want people that are watching to know the people that you see, like walking on the freeway, that are half naked, they have mental health issues. Okay. So that's the tip of the iceberg. But underneath, the surface are the people like you who have had episodes, students, people that work full time, people that ran into a healthcare crisis, and they're hiding in plain sight because they don't want to be known as homeless. See, the ones you see have always been there, right? There's always been that demographic, but there are people like you said, Halle Berry. There's many famous people that have experienced that, that have couch surfed, that have lived in courts, right? There's a professor at San Jose State. I did a story with her on Channel 5, and she was homeless, and she's a professor full time, living in a parking garage. So I want people to know that homelessness or the unhoused are a complex, group of people like the rest, like all of us. And we've all gone through our ups and downs, like you alluded to earlier in your life. And, the one thing that all the people that are on the streets have in common, that they lack housing, right? So if it's students at San Jose State that are couch surfing and living in the garage and this school full time, they're not substance abuse addicts. They're not drunks. Because that's what everybody thinks. I mean, that stereotype in America is really damning to the issue, because that's not fair. And if you have enough presence of mind like we do, if I was homeless, I'd tell anybody. I'd stay low key, right? Just like we always try to keep our issues to ourselves mostly, unless we're a celebrity and we get shown on television. Like you've seen many examples, people struggle with mental health. Watch what's happening in our culture right now with issues of domestic violence. Okay, so we have issues, but see, the homeless that are on the street and everybody sees, everybody demonizes them because they say, "Oh, look, these are crazy, crazy people," and they just But that's the iceberg. The real homeless crisis is people like you're saying that can't afford rent, that have jobs and don't know how to get, meet paycheck to paycheck, how to meet the needs of their families, and that's most Americans. I'm not trying to politicize this, but I know this issue. It's one that Martin Luther King spoke about: poverty in America and wealth discrepancy. If you're lucky enough watching this podcast to actually have enough money in the bank, you own property, You have land, and you're like hopefully you, my brother, are flourishing. That's a real blessing. But most people live paycheck to paycheck. And even if you make $100,000 in Silicon Valley, that's considered, believe it or not, that's considered almost low income housing and low
Yeah.
income. Believe it or not. I mean, I think you
Yeah.
know that. So,
Well, yeah,
like
no,
you
the
said,
fact,
Rich, go ahead, brother.
the facts are that if you're making, and these are facts that were published. These are, I'm not making this stuff up. If you're making less than $150,000 combined, meaning a household,
Yep.
you're living in poverty.
What does that tell you? I mean, that's what I'm saying, Mauricio. I came out from Louisiana. My first year as a, again, I was the head trainer at Stanford. I was a, young, buff kid, but I paid $400 for a room. And in Louisiana, I paid $120 with my roommates for a house, a 5-bedroom Victorian. That was 1989. But I saw that, the Bay Area is going to be, a very expensive place to live. And, I understand the economic supply and demand. I understand the need for developers to make money off housing. But now you're talking about things that none of us would have imagined would have happened. Who would think you have to make, I think it's $58 an hour to be a homeowner, $68 an hour? I mean, the numbers are just, so we're living in that area. So people are going to ask in your podcast, why don't they move out? I'm not going to move out, brother, because
you can't. You can't.
First of all, they can, and they grew up here. Yeah. People that are unhoused grew up here. All these statistics people don't know. And again, if I fell into a camp, a big homeless camp like the Jungle or the ones I visit every day, once you get in there, it's hard to get out. And so, again, you're talking about how does the government, like you said, deal with it? City, county, and federal, state levels. There's a lot of promises made, and there's a lot of money that's generated, but here's my experience, like during COVID, Mauricio. I was right on the front lines during COVID when it hit. And because I don't have a wife and kids, I don't have anybody I go home to. I have my own place, but, I'm full. And I kind of prayed about it. And God said, okay, you can go out there and try to take care of people. It'll be important. So I was out there at the very beginning of it. And I think I actually got COVID at the very, very beginning. I had antibodies way back, March, whenever it hit, 2020. And so the state government was saying, and the county was saying, we're gonna kind of bring the cavalry out to the camps. I was deep in these camps and in creek beds. They never came. They said we're gonna move people into hotels. Didn't happen. But on television, people were watching that. Okay, the government's response to the crisis is that they're gonna move the people out. But I was there in the camps. I did many podcasts like you're doing now, many videos from down there, and I said. I'll give, I'm a fair-minded person. If I'm down here and take people out of here, I'll be happy. But the truth is, Mauricio, I saw some things during COVID that I just, and I'm not putting the blame on any one entity, but I'll give you an example. I have a kid that I adopted. My ministry adopted this downtown, and one of the gentlemen there, kind of the head of he got COVID. I think it was April 2020, and he got very sick. And took him to, I think, regional, and the media followed the story. He got sick, and they released him, although he still had COVID, and he got and all the others at the camp got COVID, and they released him back to the camp, which is again because the promise that the state and the county and the city made is that they have these resources. They'll take the people out of the camps, they'll put them in motels, but the truth is. This guy had COVID, went to the regional, and was released the same night he got diagnosed with COVID and was very sick. And he called me and said, "I'm going to die in this camp." And that's a hand of God story. I covered it with Channel 2 and Channel 5.
I saw that.
My point is that the reality of what is on the street versus what you see, because you'll see a politician, and I'm not picking on politicians.
No.
We have all this money, that they throw at it. Yeah.
Everyone, all the politicians, and they're human like us. They're titled. They all chose to get into that world, and they decided to become a part of the political system. Okay, the politician, that's just the name that they've been categorized under, but they're human beings like us.
Right.
And what happens is that when you become in that position, now you work for the people. Now it's which people you decide you want to work for.
Well, I think that's what you're saying. True, brother.
Yeah,
because you're right. Martin Luther King. Well, I don't mean to cut you off, but I'm
Yeah, no,
saying that
no.
you guys got to understand when Martin thing is true. If you're a wealthy person, of course, in Silicon Valley, and you're an engineer, you know, you're making good money. God bless you. That's great. But remember, there's a huge population on the east side, people that came up here that worked service jobs, that struggle every day, that clean the hotel, you know, do all these service sector jobs. They're struggling, and that's a majority of people. And unfortunately, my opinion is that, you know, it's kind of like what Martin Luther King said: America has a lot of resources, right? We've always had resources. We've always been a rich place. We're the richest country in the history of the world, but we don't. What we do with the riches is what matters, right? To God or whatever you guys believe in. If you believe in God, God will judge you by what you do with what you have. If you have a
Mm.
lot, I mean, the Bible. I mean, there's so many Bible stories about people that did it a lot with what they had, but they had little. And there's people that had a lot and did little for everybody else. So I can honestly say I'm a fair-minded person. I try to be a man of God. I'm certainly not perfect, and I have my own vices, but what we do with what we have,
Hey,
you know,
we're not here to expose any of those. We're no one here, and no one here in the
well,
world can say
that's
that
right.
they run a perfect world, because
And I'm not trying to
we
do that. I'm just trying to be a
yeah,
good
I
advocate for people that have had little. And then I see again the tragedy of homelessness, the unhoused, that people are dying. And you can imagine if you live in a tent by the river, you know, again, your life expectancy
just
is
give me
going down precipitously. So,
yeah.
you know, no, but you're in Silicon Valley. So what makes it hard is that I'm always trying to bridge the gap. You know, I was with you, Mauricio, and we brought out some major petitions. I won't name them. You were there, and you know
Mhm.
they came out with me. And they made great speeches, and I know they care. They care, but
Well,
there's a lot that needs to be done to build the bridge.
and you know, I'll name them because I don't have a problem naming them. I think that their intent is well, and then at the same time, they don't necessarily they are not the ones that necessarily do not want to do it, but their hands get tied by the resources, by
Of
the
course,
bureaucracy, by the
of
red
course,
tape. I
right?
mean, I know that Mayor Liccardo, you know, again, we're third largest city in California. Mayor
Yep,
Liccardo has been out to these camps. He's been
yep.
there,
He's been
handed
yep.
side by side with you. I know that we've had Council Member Raul Perales, who's been side by side. I know that we've had the current Assembly Member Osh Kalra that has been by your
Yep,
side,
yep.
and I know that we have the current. I don't know if he was. I think he was county supervisor at the
Cortez,
time.
yeah.
Dave Cortese. All great people, by the way. All great people. They all mean well. Their intent is always there to serve for the people and to be there for them.
Yep.
I think that where they get caught in the crosshairs or in the crossfire is when then the bureaucracy kicks in, the system kicks in, because you're right, the resources are there, and you know, they. I think that perception again versus the reality is that they don't do anything. Well, the intent is there, and we're not there following them and watching what they're trying to do. But I think that
You're
then
right, brother. You're right.
then what happens is just kind of like right behind me. I have that's my one of my mantras in business. You know, we have to make a decision, we have to commit, and then we have to execute. With the first two, when you make a decision and you commit, those are great. But without execution or action, then there's no forward progress. And I think what happens here is that the decision to come out and help the homeless or help a community leader like you is there. The commitment is there, right? We're committed, we're in, and we're saying it. But then when it comes to the execution, the process takes it's either it just takes too much time, that by the time that it really happens, the problem has either already passed or it's just gotten worse. And I
Well
think,
said. You're right.
and
Well
I
said, brother. Well said.
and I think what's happened, because you know, I had the mayor here on my when we did the season kickoff of season 2 here, and Sam Liccardo was again. I like him. You know, I think he's been a fair mayor. He's had some great initiatives. Some initiatives pass and some don't, because that's politics.
Right.
You know, and he said, and he brought it out. He had no, you know, I hit him hard with it, the homeless community, and he basically said that his hands were tied, and then we did the finger pointing. Again, he didn't speak anything bad, but he then mentioned the county had hand tied him. Now he didn't say anyone specifically, but the next level of bureaucracy is the county supervisor level, and again, no one said any names, so we don't know. But at that level, then because the we were now going through COVID and in the shelter in place, and there was people didn't want to risk the exposure,
Right.
and unfortunately, what I think, this is my opinion, is and what I've noticed, because I've been downtown since 1996, is that the homeless population grew and also surfaced. They were no longer hiding in the jungle.
Agreed.
And they
Well
were
said. You're right, Mauricio. Yeah, that's important for your listeners to know that. I don't mean to cut you off. You're right, because as an advocate, the main strategy that the city, almost every major city in California, has employed is called abatement. Abatement means you move the problem down the street. Okay, so whoever's watching, again, I'm not trying to fight, but if unhoused people lived in my community, right? Let's say I own a home, it's in my backyard. I call, the mayor, I call the police. I want them out. Okay. So that's fine. That was the first strategy that was employed way back when people discovered, everybody's encroaching into my neighborhood. Okay, but watch this. So you moved them down the street, and I got to tell everybody watching why that doesn't work. It's because they come back. They will always come back. Yeah. People still in the jungle. The jungle's right down the street. I'm on 19th and Williams right now. There's a huge population of people right down the street that have been there on and off since 2014 when I met you, bro. So I just want people to know. And I think this goes to with what you're saying. I want money to be spent effectively. I'm kind of with you, brother. I'm a practical man. I'm just a pastor. Again, I try to think of myself as a reasonable guy, but you have to spend money effectively to make a change. Sweeping people down the street, because again, my neighborhood says, well, I'm Willow Bend, or I'm South San Jose, or I'm even the east side. If I'm moving down the street, is never going to get to the problem. It's the problem. Okay, so we have to. I'll give you an example. I had a shelter in my church way back the 90s. That was when I was ordained as a minister in 1997. This is a crazy story, but the city told me, and this is kind of what made my text. Made my name in San Jose, was that I had a shelter in a church that turned out to be right next to City Hall. City Hall was going to come in, and all the politicians that that you even mentioned, every one of them were city council members. Yeah. But I had a shelter there with children and families, and the city told me, you can't have that shelter there. I was a young pastor. I was like 30 years old. I went to Yale University for 2 years. I don't know if your viewers care about that, but I studied, got my degree. Yeah. I went to San Jose State, got a sociology degree, master's degree. Okay, so I was a young pastor to do the right thing, and so I opened my church and let people live there. And the
you're a smart pastor. Why'd you go into preaching there, buddy? What? You're a very noble man. Wow,
that's a hard job, but someone's got to do it, right?
God spoke through you and said he had another mission for you.
He said, "This is your mission." Right? That's what it was. And so they moved. Right. That's funny. They moved City Hall next door to my church, and then eventually, I was able to get $1 million from the city government. We were able to get $1 million from the city government for a program we set up inside the shelter that deemed illegal. Because they said that's not a legal shelter, but that shelter stayed there 13 years and became a model. The city even funded it. Isn't that weird? $1 million. And so we got people housing because we know people. And so, again, I know a lot of people watching, and I got to be honest and realistic. Yeah. Just think they're throwing money down a rat hole. You're just throwing money away. It's not true. You have to separate out, who's, people on the street is diverse, and there's different populations and people that need different things. And if you subsidize even a ministry like mine, we do outreach to help people survive. And I want everybody to know this watching, we never enable people. I mean, people tell me, when I was on TV a lot when I was younger, I would always get messages, well, you're enabling people. I said, oh, I'm a pastor. I'm trying to keep people alive. I mean, that's God's mandate, whatever your religious background, to take care of the needy, take care of the little people. That's not, I mean, if you're going to answer to God, you're not going to, I'm enabling people. No, I'm not throwing money at their drug and alcohol issues if that's what they have. But also we figured out how to move people along. And that's where bureaucracy, like you're saying, and that's where the system is broken. It doesn't understand how to do that. It doesn't.
So let's go a little deep. Let's go a little deep here, because I there was a statement that was made earlier, and on the homeless or the unhoused, or let's remove homeless. Let's just give it poverty. Poverty and has been around for centuries.
Yeah.
I mean, we're going back to Jesus.
Right.
And
Good.
we're not gonna go go back to poverty has been around for thousands
It's going to get
years.
deep. Yeah, it's going to get deep.
And so at what point, Pastor, is this something that's just going to continue for the rest?
Well,
I mean, we're not going to be around. I mean, there's going to always be a cycle, a wave, a different version. I mean, what is
that's
I mean, it goes deep in my mind, because I think I'm trying to find what is the solution, or is there a solution?
Well,
Because we will never end it. It's been around for centuries. I mean, but how do we maybe make it better, I guess?
Well, it is deep, bro. And I get I'll just give some perspective. Not, again, it's just pastor speaking, because that's my job. I'm not an entrepreneur. I'm not a businessman. I'm
gonna ask you from the business side, or from the person side. You're in it. You're living it. You're serving the people, the community, and you're trying to shed light so that people like us will continue to see and to contribute.
And again, I appreciate the question's great. And I mean, in Jesus' time and in our time and throughout the centuries, in Martin Luther King's time, Cesar Chavez, the people that we remember, first of all, Mother Teresa, Cesar Chavez, Martin Luther King, what makes them great? They cared about, what makes, they're some of the greatest people that ever, in my opinion, right? What makes them great? Well, Gandhi, what makes them great? They cared about the little people. Okay, so in a spiritual way, God cares about the little people. Everybody thinks, well, we're blessed by God, we have riches. And in the Bible, it's always a mixed bag. All right, there's God that blesses the kings, right? And they have great wealth, they have great power, but also there's many examples of, like, especially with Jesus, where the little people are like, this is the people that God cares about. So what made the people I just named in our time great is that they cared about the little people, first of all. Second, that's a moral thing. That's a spiritual thing, right? But it's also an economic and practical thing. And because it's something that Martin Luther King always used to say about, about our society. If we bring up the bottom, and I'm not trying to talk ideology or politics, because I'm not really a political guy, but I try to look at it like, what's the best way to construct a healthy society, right? It's like a healthy relationship.
You're being pragmatic.
I think you have to take care of people that.
That's right.
You have to, but you're not enabling them. See, everybody thinks, well, everybody in America is so driven by profit, which it's predictable this can happen. And they have I know actually a lot of rich people. I know a lot of very, very, very poor people. People are the same to me, but I think you have to understand it's in everybody's best interest to bridge the gap. However you do it. I mean, again, the greatest people that ever walked the earth said that. You can't have people living in a creek bed and have people that have wealth that is imagination. That's going to be the demise of that society. And I think I studied that because that was my background, right? Before ministry, the greatest indicator of social unrest, which we have a lot of social unrest in America. Let's be honest. Whoever's watching, I don't care what your background is. There's a lot of unrest. Biggest indicator is when a lot of people have nothing, but few people have everything. That's a demise of a civilization. And I don't mean to get too deep, but
no. Please, hey, no. Hey, this is what this is about.
That's what Martin Luther King said. Martin Luther King,
we are here.
Prophet. He was a modern day prophet in America. And again, it doesn't matter what your background is, because he saw that it was going to bring everybody down. If everybody doesn't come together and work for bringing up the bottom, then it brings everybody down, because it's kind of like the lowest common denominator. You're only as powerful. My football coach used to say, your team's only as good as its worst player. So you got to bring people up, right? Because they're thinking, I'm going to build my wall, I'm going to build my house, I'm going to get mine. Okay, go get yours. But there's a couple of things working against you. One is God, your conscience, right? As a person, who are you as a person? Because you can get rich and you can prevail and you can pat yourself on the back. But if you believe there's a God, you're going to have to answer God what you do with what you have. Number two is the practical thing, like you said, Mauricio. If we don't bring people up, the quality of everybody's lives suffers. And I don't know where people get the notion that when I was a young guy, I moved to Palo Alto I mean, I worked in Palo Alto, but I lived in East Palo Alto, and I was a boxer in East Palo Alto at Ravenswood High School. I make this up, and I could not believe the contrast. I would walk across University Avenue and see these beautiful homes, you know, in Palo Alto University Avenue that were worth back then even millions. Yeah. And on the other side is the time was the kind of the murder capital of the United States per capita. So we got to bring people up, Mauricio. We got to bring people up.
And I think that that's the balance. I think that that's what we're here for. We are not going to solve the situation today, but we will. What we are doing is we as conduits, right? We're serving. We are giving people the opportunity for the opportunity for a greater life, a greater opportunity, a different direction. You know what I've done. You know, the show. The reason why I brought the people that I brought, whether it was the politicians, the real estate tycoons, the other different types of entrepreneurs, is to give people a wide spectrum, and to give them a different perspective. You know, for myself, I mean, I've shared my story many times, and I have no problem. You know, I can go mingle with the best and the elite, right? Whatever you want to call them. And I can go down to the creeks with you.
I've seen it, brother,
and say hello, and say hello to the person that, you know, it just, and I don't judge them because I'm no one to judge, but I just want to have a conversation. You know, first thing is have some humanity, right? Let's have some humanity out there. Like, hello, how are you? I mean, some people have never asked, how are you? How are you been? How have you been? I mean, I've been in situations where everyone is just gimme, and no one has ever stopped to say, "Hey, Mauricio, are you okay? Are you having a good day? How is your day?" What that does to the mind and to the body and the soul.
Amen, brother. Because that's where my work begins and ends. I mean, whatever people don't think about me, but as a pastor, you want to humanize everybody, right? Yeah. You want people to connect. You want to build, and you want to find a way. And if I give up that, I'll become somebody else. Because I think pastor, if I don't believe that anymore, right? I should be somebody else.
And you know, no one said that the pastor has to be broke and live in poverty either. I mean,
that's true. In my life, you know, on a personal story, people that know me, one of the reasons I'm able to do what I do, I inherited money 3 times in my life. I don't even talk about that. No one even probably thinks about that, but I have been able to be blessed at times. So
there you go.
Money's a blessing. Okay.
There you go.
You use it for good.
That's right.
I want people to know that I'm not abject poor, and I don't know what people think about me, but I'm also not going to, it's not my job to flaunt or to say what I have, but I understand the value of using money the right way.
You mean you don't want to have a private jet like some of these pastors? These, no knocking to them. I love some of the preaching and the inspiration and the impact that they make globally. So no knocking to them. They just been blessed in a different way.
Yeah, right. And if that's their walk, again, I'm not going to judge it. It's about me. Yeah. I will not judge people. Anybody. I don't care who you are. No. A murderer or a politician or anybody. It's my job, and I want people to know that that's not what God's about. God's not about judging. You know, He's about loving and building people up.
I told everyone today. I did a couple of promos prior, and I said, you know, we're gonna go deep today. We're gonna talk about the homeless community. We're gonna talk about religion. We're gonna talk, and at the same time, there's a business aspect of this too.
Well, yeah.
So the business aspect is money management. It's management of time, energy. It's what you do and where you put your resources at. I mean, you know, Oh, did we just lose them? Oh, there we go.
I'm here.
All right, there we go.
Still
you know, what it comes down to is the fact that you know, you gotta manage what's donated to your ministry.
Right.
And by the way, we haven't even talked about it. So you're the founder of CHAM Ministry. Share with us the CHAM Ministry, what it has been doing and when you found it.
Well, yeah, that was 1997. Before that was Columbus Alliance, and I know what it's like to be political. When I was young, I was an activist. When I became a pastor, you know, I was still an activist. Like I said, kind of in the spirit of Cesar Chavez or some, you know, of the ones I thought walked for me, and I took inspiration from that. But as a pastor, I wanted to, like I said earlier, manage the people within my sphere effectively, and to build that community. And that was a challenge. I had a lot of people in my church that were notorious, you know, that were gang members, and I'm just being completely honest.
Yeah,
very notorious. But the great thing is we were able to build a community out of ministry. The CHAM ministry was downtown. It was at First Christian Church, one of the oldest churches in San Jose. It's, again, the church that's next to City Hall. It's now called Urban Sanctuary, but it's a historic church, and we did some amazing things. So again, managing people is a challenging job, especially when they're very broke and they're going at each other. But I learned so many lessons from that, and it's kind of like what you're saying, brother. Again, we wouldn't have gotten $1 million from the city if we didn't have an effective program. Mm-hmm. So I want people to know, and they don't know that about me, and I know a lot of people don't know anything about me, but we know how to manage people, and I understand. If anybody has given us anything, we make the best out of that. We try to use that for the best result. I understand not for money. Again, just had a problem. And I believe in creating a program and creating something that's effective. And we're some of the most effective at that. We have been because we're so close to the people. And if you do something from a distance, it's not going to be effective. You got to be embedded in the community.
Ooh, that's got to be one of the hardest things. Let me ask you, Pastor, because when you talk about dealing, you said broke, but it's not just broke in poverty, financially, but it's broken. It's their spirits, their souls, their spirits are broken. How? That's where it becomes how do you keep yourself sane? Well, because I don't even know if that's a fair question to ask you, but
I don't know what I'm saying, but I know.
And because you have built the tolerance, you have built you have shielded yourself to the point where it comes at you at all the times. I mean, you're in it every day on a daily basis. Yeah. You're dealing with it, and that's why you're the place that you're at and how you manage it, because it is people management. I mean, I've been in there in situations where at one point I remember one of the cleanups we did, there was a gentleman that didn't like the way we communicated, but you saw that I kept my ground, and I stood my ground until I earned that person's respect, and knew that I was not there to hurt him or them. I was there to help them, and I made it very clear in using the tonality, using my looking at them and showing, because the frequencies and the management, it's huge. You got to adapt. Well, you got to adapt to the environment, man. And you gotta be. So what do you do to balance yourself? Well, you can only pray so much, Pastor.
Well, you gotta be like you said, thick skin.
You're human,
and I am. And I had my issues. I've had my moments, and I've had my issues, and everybody that knows me knows that. But I think you learn just you're good at what you do, brother. Yeah. I see you're a good businessman. I see you know the ins and outs of entrepreneurship. I know the ins and outs of street ministry. I've seen the craziest things, and it's another podcast, and I have, like in a movie almost.
Yeah,
the gang fights, the tension, the demons, whatever you want to call it. It's almost like a movie, especially when you do it that long at that level. But yes, for me, I think I've learned the tools. I have the skills to understand what's going to happen. It's like anybody in whatever profession, they learn that profession. And I always tell everybody, if you're a physician, you should go to med school. If you're a pastor, you should hear from God, and you should have a set of tools, again, that you're a spiritual person, woman or man, and know how to deal with things spiritually, because that is the key. You have to do things above and beyond, because it's called transcendent. To transcend, the Buddha was known for his transcendence. He transcended this realm. And I'm not trying. I'm nobody special, but in that capacity, I do know how to rise above. You have to rise above. Kind of like Martin Luther King. He had death threats in his life every day because of who he was, and or Cesar Chavez. These are people that, again, they go above it. Mother Teresa, they go above and beyond, because they develop a different set of skills that are not just practical, that are spiritual. And that's what ministry really is. Ministry is like, building our muscles, but in a spiritual way. You have to build those muscles. And it's not something people know about. Yeah. Because you deal with things that are not going to be fair. People used to come to me and they want money. They want me to take care of them. They want to tell me their problems. They're mad at God. You're always going to get that in the ministry, especially at that level. And so you learn how to deal with people, and you learn how, like you're saying, you learn, like you dealt with the folks at the camp. I've had a lot of people at me that are just mad at life, and they're mad at me because I'm allegedly a pastor, right? Represents God, but I tell them I'm not God, but I'm here to help, and I do
To
care
help.
about them. And you develop,
Yeah.
from that foundation.
It's a mindset. It's a continuation of, again, we're the world looks at us a certain way, and that's a perception.
Yep, it's
And
perception, right?
and what we have to do is we have to continue to, hello, you there?
I'm here,
All
brother. I'm
right.
sorry. Looking at my percentage.
Yeah,
Looking at
no worries.
percentage. Yeah. Okay, we good? Yeah.
Yeah, no, we're good. We got about 10 more minutes, and then we'll
Okay. Yeah,
wrap it up.
I'm gonna have to
Um,
charge it up. Yeah, if I have to charge it.
but it's the way the world looks at us. I mean, again, the in business, the higher you go, or the more successful you become, or the more you show, then you start to put targets on yourself, because then there's envy, there's jealous, there's
Yeah.
haters, there's all this.
Yeah.
The higher in the world, in the world that you're dealing with, they're assuming, because you say that you're a pastor, that you're here to save them. And
That's right.
and reality, what it is for me, and I think that this is where, from the business side now, I look at, if you want to do business with me, then you have to meet me halfway, and you have to be able to pull your own weight and do your part, so that I can do my part, because
Right.
I cannot do everything. If not, then what do we need partnerships for? I mean, it's like a team. A football team cannot win just by having a quarterback and a receiver, because if you don't have blockers and alignment and other players, then you're going to get sacked, and you're just not going to work. That game doesn't work.
Right.
So the game requires team players. It requires a team. It requires a team effort. It requires a mindset. And I know that is when you're doing your thing, you're also having to build a team of other people that are following your beliefs and your strategy, your direction. No different than in business. In business, without a strategy, we will never accomplish our ultimate goal. For me, Pastor, and I've been honest about it. I've shared this on my podcast many times. My motivation to make money is so that I can make a bigger impact giving back. My business is, I have currently right now I have a staffing business. I'm very proud of my staffing business, because I put people to work. I don't judge them of who they are or what they look like, or whatever preference, as long as they have the motivation to go work and to create better and to provide for their families.
Yes.
That satisfies my soul. It allows me to continue to work on other opportunities, so that I can continue to grow and make a bigger impact. At one point, I had 1,000 employees. The world has turned around, and now we're rebuilding. And and what I've decided to do was to focus now more regionally, more locally, because I know that I can make a bigger impact here locally, just by my reach and the resources that I have. And I think that it was important today that we have you here on the show, because as we're going into a different version of the 2020 shelter in place. We're going into now where, for a minute they let everyone loose. I called it the re-grand opening of California. Right. It was June 15th, and you look at it, it's almost like it's like clockwork. 35 days, 40 days later, we are now going backwards. We're going backwards, and now they're the variant, or whatever, however they titled it now. We're going backwards, where they're masking people again. And we're not going to go into that one, because that one right there is going to that's going to send us for another hour conversation here. Because
you're right, brother. All that you said is true. And like I said, I want your listeners to know you're the real deal. I know a lot of people like you do. We deal in different capacities and different functions, like you said. But you're the real deal, brother. And you've always supported me in the frontline work. And that's where that's my job. You have your job. I know you're an inspired guy. You're an inspiring guy.
Thank you.
And I pray the best for you and all that you're doing. And I know you help the community. That's where it's at.
Thank you, and I appreciate that. And
whatever we get, we will make it work, because I'm practical, just like everybody watching. Pastor's not a crazy person, but remember, it's also on the front lines, and so I'm always having to make really difficult, almost life and death decisions. How we can help the most, because you're going to lose a lot of battles on that front line like that. You're going to lose a lot of people, and I've lost hundreds of people that I've known close to me, work with me, because it's the nature of the work. That's a very the work that I do is is almost unknown to so many people because, first of all, the way the house issue is now has never really been that way. Maybe in the 30s, and part of our culture, it's part of our society, it's part of our, it's the number one issue in California, and so seeing it, a lot of people don't know. Again, the dynamics day to day, but again, I want people to know that it takes strength. Just everything that you're doing takes great strength too. It's just a different kind of strength. It's a different kind of battle.
Let me ask you, Pastor, if people want to get involved, how can we reach you? Aside from me having your direct contact, how can people reach you, and also how can they contribute and be a part of the of a solution here, or just if anything, volunteer and help? How can people reach out to you?
On Instagram, Mercy Mobile, Mercy underscore Mobile. Have Facebook. Mercy Mobile is known out there. Pastor Scott Wagers. You can Google that. There's a lot of. And get a hold of me again. I'll give my direct contact to you. They can get a hold of you. They can call me directly, and I will, like I've done with you many times, and literally hundreds or maybe thousands of others out there to whatever degree they're comfortable, to be involved. So get a hold of me. I'll give you my information at the end of the podcast. We have GoFundMe. We have some websites, but again, to
what's a website? Because I just put Google Pastor Scott Wagers. What would be a website?
It's mercymobile.com. Mercymobile.com is a good
www and MERCI.
MERCY.
Okay, Mercy
dash mobile.
Dash
mobile.
Let me maybe make this mobile.
Yep. That's just a big RV. Yeah, that's a big RV that goes out. And it was kind of on the cutting edge of doing all the outreach ministry. 2014, we started that. It's been going strong 7 years. There's a lot of ministries like that are showers, that are laundromats that go out there. It's a lot of people kind of gravitated that way after we've done it. We're kind of the pioneers. First people out there on the front line.
I'd like to further this conversation and definitely circle back, because I know that the resources we're going to need to tap into the resources again, and I know that right now with things the way that are changing, we're going to have to. It's just not gonna. It's not. There's not anything anytime soon, and we need to continue we need to continue to work together. And I do appreciate you. Yeah. I live and work downtown, and I play downtown, and I just appreciate the fact that this is an area that you have focused a lot of your attention and resources here in downtown San Jose, Silicon Valley. Again, it's just mind blowing to see that where we're at today.
Mauricio, again, you're an entrepreneur and you're a developer. We need land, we need property, and this as a pastor, we know how to make it work. We can show demonstrable, success, because that's what people in America. I understand. So we can take people from the streets, but we need land. We need resources at that level. And when we've had that, we've been able to do that. And I want everybody to know I've been involved in negotiating millions and millions and millions, tens of millions of dollars worth of property, and housing developments that have happened for the poor. So, and I know that's a complicated world, but together we can make things happen. Again, with people like you, brother, that come from that end, and people like me that come from the other end, meet in the middle, like you said, brother, and create things. We can do great things. I really believe that. I really do. It's got to be done, because you got to bridge that gap. It's a big gap. It can be done. And,
we're gonna continue this conversation, and we're gonna work on that. I just made a quick note on the housing stuff. I think we should follow up, because with all the different things that are happening, the way that the state of California is working on trying to with the housing crisis, where that's another crisis that we're having here in California, and it's the housing. We can never catch up, because again, it comes down to bureaucracy. There's a lot of red tape, and as much as we the builders that are across the United States, they cannot catch up to the demand, because there's just a lot of bureaucracy. And then there's the people that are the NIMBYs, not in my backyard.
Everywhere, brother, everywhere. But remember, like, in the last word, I'm going to give it right to you straight. I tell everybody that we have to live together, brother, because the problem's not going away. You sweep it away. We got to deal with it. We got to make it work for everybody. That's my prayer. I mean, that's a daunting task, and it may sound naive to people, but if we don't make it work, trust me on this one, it will bring down the quality of life for everybody, because like in LA, the plague broke out. The plague has not been around since 1400s. It broke out on Skid Row. If you know these homeless camps like I do, you just got to You can't let people live like that, no matter what. It's worth it.
No.
It's worth it to the billionaires, the millionaires, the people with resources. It's worth it, not just humanitarian wise, again, moral wise, God wise. You got to do it because it's practical. You can't let people keep living like that because it's going to bring it. It'll bring everything down. And it's not. It's a win. It's a lose lose. We're looking for a win win.
Absolutely. Well, Pastor, I want to say thank you again for taking the time this evening to be with me, and it's long overdue. We've been talking about it since my first season in 2020. I just want to say thank you so much.
You can bring me back anytime, brother. Anytime,
Yeah,
come out with me anytime. And much love to you, brother. I appreciate what you're doing, and blessings to your endeavors. The Punch King.
Thank you. And we are now, I know that I shared this with you, but with my business partners, we are talking, and there's other community members that wanted to talk about this, but we want to work on working on a program calling knocking out knocking out homelessness. So and incorporate the Punch King brand into a movement. There's knockout cancer, and we want to knock out homelessness. And we know that we won't be the 100% solution, but we want to be able to contribute to our neighborhood, and not only to that, but to make it a message. We lost him. We lost Pastor Wager. There we go. I think his phone died on him. No problem there. All right, guys. We knew his phone was going to die. I just want to continue with what I was going to say here was that we're working through our Punch King Fitness brand, which hopefully will be opening soon. We wanted to work on an initiative to do knockout homelessness. So we're definitely it's on our whiteboard, and it's something that we want to move forward with and get things going. So again, thank you to Pastor Scott Wagers, who joined us tonight, shared his story, and shared what it's like to be on the front lines of the unhoused homeless community, however people decide that they want to label it. He is on the front lines dealing with that on a regular basis. And I just want to say thank you to him and to his group, to everyone at CHAM Ministries as well, that are putting their time and energy and efforts into providing a better opportunity for people and for our community. So just want to say thank you to Pastor Scott Wager again. Thank you everyone that joined me tonight. Wow, all the wonderful messages. You guys, again, I do this for you. You guys continue to motivate me and send that energy, that positive energy. And I look forward to continuing my mission here. So want to thank everyone for joining us. Mauricio Mejia Live, season number 2, episode number 26. We got 4 left, guys. And then we're going to take a break, and then we're going to recalibrate ourselves and get ready for season 3, because I'm not done, guys. I'm not done. The message doesn't stop. We're going to continue this and continue to make it happen. So thank you again, everyone that joined us. Next week, I'm excited because in business, we always talk about money. We talk about building. We talk about financial freedom. We've talked about many different things to invest and participate in. But one of the things that we have forgotten, and I didn't, I just want to save good things for later on in the season, is credit. We're going to go through I have an entrepreneur, business owner, and a friend of mine that's going to be talking to us about how credit is affecting people and how you're judged by your credit. And we're going to learn a lot about credit next week. So hold on, here we go. I think Scott, Pastor Wager just jumped back on. Hold on. Hey, Pastor, only on my show we can go back and forth here. So I was just saying. Go ahead.
Resurrection time. I said resurrected from the dead. Phone died, came back to life.
Oh, the irony, man. I tell you, Pastor, I have had some crazy things happen on my show, man. And I just want to say all this does is just continue to add to the uniqueness. So, Pastor, I just want to say thank you very much for your time this evening. I've did your farewells already. I appreciate the fact that you continue to do positive for our community and for the people, and I look forward to hitting the streets with you soon and seeing how we can continue to work together here in our community. So thank you so much, Pastor.
Love to you, those watching. God bless you guys. Stay strong.
Thank you. Amen. Woo.
Mauricio.
Thank you, Pastor.
Talk to you, brother. Amen.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
All right, guys, we're going to wrap it up. I just want to say thank you again to everybody. Catch me next Wednesday, Mauricio Mejia Live, 6 p.m. on the West Coast, 9 p.m. on the East. Thank you from the bottom of my heart to everyone that tunes in on Facebook, on YouTube, and on Twitch. I see you guys. I see you. I will be later after the show. I'll be going back and commenting and replying back to your post. So I just want to again remind everyone, next Wednesday, we got Robert Avila. We're going to be talking about credit repair, credit, and all that good stuff, and how we get judged by our credit. So, and how important it is. Last but not least, don't forget, I got 2 books on Amazon, Smoke and Mirrors, and Decide, Commit, Execute. So go ahead and jump on Amazon.com, Google, or put in Mauricio Mejia, and you'll find both books that I published, and I look forward to your support. Again, thank you so much to everybody. Have a wonderful evening, and God bless you guys. Stay safe. Wear your masks. I got mine right here. Got my Punch King right here. That's how we do it. Punch King masks. All right, guys. Love you guys all. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful evening.